Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Brightlingsea Town Council meeting of the 16th of April 2026. I may have apologies for absence, please.
Apologies from Councillors Mitchell and Penny.
Thank you very much. I think we've all got the minutes of the last meeting. Can I sign them as an accurate record of that meeting?
Certainly.
Yeah, sorry, Rick and John.
And can I just make a comment, please, that at the council meeting held on the 19th of February 2026, a response to a public question was given which was incorrect. So I would like to confirm the correct information as follows. At the Town and Parish Council's Standards Subcommittee on 12th of February 2026, the report from the Monitoring Officer stated it was concluded there was sufficient evidence to show that the subject member, based on a balance of probabilities and the evidence available through the use of social media, had breached paragraphs 1.1, respect, 5.1, disrepute, and 6.1, use of position of the Members' Code of Conduct. The investigation also concluded that paragraph 2.2, bullying, harassment and discrimination, had not been breached. And we apologise for the incorrect information being given.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to delay item 3 because obviously that was part of a presentation from Ian Davison. So if I can move on to item 4 for the moment, and we'll come back to it. Declarations of interest. Any members? No? Okay, thank you. And then we'll move on, if we may, to item 5, therefore, which is Councillor Colgan. Before you come up, Alan, I'd just like to make a little speech. Ladies and gentlemen, as this is the last meeting of Alan's, we'll be attending as a county councillor. I'm sure the Town Council and the residents of Brightlingsea would like to take this opportunity to thank Alan for his combined 30 years of service, dedicated service to the town, district and as a county councillor. Over the years, Alan has had a number of successes, too many to mention here, but I would just mention the Belfield Avenue project and the road reconstruction. But more recently, he has built quite a reputation in the highways arena. If there's a traffic problem, he's on it. Organising traffic lights, how they timed and where they should be on and off, and so much more. I'm told by people now that when they get caught by the goggin is why they're delayed getting home at night. And potholes, well, there's a thing. They've learned to fear him mostly. In fact, the one in Church Hill, which proved to be most persistent, but Alan finally got it fixed. We've decided to name in his honour. And it will now be known as the Ali G pothole. So it's a lasting tribute to you through, although I'm sure Alan will not want to remember it that much. So Alan, from Brightlingsea Town Council, its members, staff and the residents of Brightlingsea Town, thank you for the attendance of these meetings and thank you for all the hard work you've done over the last few years. And recently for your persistence in trying to keep Brightlingsea moving, even if it occasionally we all have to occasionally wait at the lights you put in. Thank you.
One of my heroes has always been Brian House, lovely man from a lovely family. He got a road named after him. I got a pothole. I think that shows the difference in standards.
Alan, could we, are we ready to roll here, or
We'll be 2 minutes, seconds.
I didn't want to rush you, so
No problem.
because I know we might not keep this connection going.
Right, how's that? So,
Can you hear me now?
better? Speak?
Can you hear me now?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, it's better.
Can you hear it back? Yeah.
Is that better?
That's it.
Okay, Mick, I'll hand over to you.
Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Where are we? Local government reorganisation, we are in the midst of it, and people may be aware that the government made an announcement 2 weeks ago that Tendring District Council was going to become part of a North East Essex unitary authority, along with Braintree District Council and Colchester City Council. So, as I say, we're in the middle of that, and for an update on that, we've got the Chief Executive of Tendring District Council, Ian Davidson, who's, along with the leader of the council, has been very active and I think very positive in doing a lot of the developmental work around LGR and trying to get the other 15 district councils in Essex to actually all sign up to the whole thing. So if I can ask Ian if he can just set the scene and perhaps give us a quick update.
First of all, Rick, thank you very much indeed for the invitation to come along tonight and just give you a quick update. I did get the hint, and I've got it down to an hour and a half, so don't worry. I'm joking for those who don't know me. What I thought was it was just worth, now that we've had the announcement from government, what that means and where we're up to, and also in terms of, for Brightling, see what it means in terms of the discussions we've had around assets, etc. So, if I may, I'm just going to share some slides with you, which will just give you a flavour of where we are, and I'm just going to put those up. So, hopefully you can see those now. Can you see those?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, the Secretary of State's decision has now been announced. It's a 5 unitary configuration which has been announced for Greater Essex. So that means that Essex County Council, all 12 of the districts and the 2 unitary authorities will be abolished, and they will be replaced by 5 unitary authorities. This will put tendering with Colchester City Council, Braintree District Council and Essex County Council in terms of the services for tendering, but also Essex County Council will be what's called disaggregated across the 5 unitary authorities. And that's really important piece of work, because it's not just about Essex County Council and the services which they deliver in Braintree, Colchester and tendering as it is now, but also they have assets, they have reserves, they have debt, but also more importantly, in terms of the changes, they have a lot more staff than we do, and those staff will be disaggregated to the 5 unitaries as well. So a significant amount of work which is going to go in over the course of the next 2 years in order to bring together the 3 district councils and also disaggregate the county council across the 5 unitary authorities. It's going to be called the North East Essex Council. That's been was in the announcements by the Secretary of State. We have received detail to inform what's called a draft structural changes order. This is the precursor of the legislation which will make it formal, that change. At this stage, it is why it was called the Minded To decision. It means the Secretary of State is minded to create 5 unitary authorities across Essex, and we now start the legal process to have the structural changes order, which will be laid before Parliament in July, and then will be enacted in the autumn of this year. The rationale for the ministerial statements is that although all of the proposals met the criteria for unitary local government, and when we say all, there was 1 proposal for 3 unitary authorities, 2 proposals for 4, and then 1 proposal for But all the proposals met the criteria for unitary local government, but the 5 unitary proposal best met the criteria overall. And it was largely around being shaped by the community. I mean, by the very nature of having 5 unitaries, that means that actually it's demand local level because you're covering a smaller area, and about and understanding that community, and it's not so large that it's not an identifiable community area. The approach we set out creates what they call sensible geographies, so they're not randomly put together. We have an economic corridor which goes from the east to west, but basically through Tendring, through to Colchester and through to Braintree, which is the east-west corridor going from Harwich basically right the way across. But also in terms of the Colchester, that then has a confluence going off down the A12 or up the A12 or the A14. So there's, as an economic corridor, that was identified as also making sense. Each unitary authority will then be accountable for delivering the public services, which are the district and the unitary authority and the county council authority, and they will all be delivered by the single unitary across the community. And these will be including those around temporary accommodation, social care. There was a lot of discussion in the lead up to the submissions about the viability because of particularly for tendering the cost of adult social care, but the Minister was satisfied that the 5 unitary proposal can be delivered on a sustainable financial basis. So this is the map of how it looks. And actually the North East Council will be the largest, both in terms of population and I think probably geography, although that's reasonably close to the mid. But the population will be around 500,000 for the North East Essex Council. So the government's also commitment to, and this is something which obviously there was quite a lot of press coverage around, that Thurrock had around £1.5 billion worth of debt. Since that time, they brought that debt down to around £867 million, still a lot of money. The government is then repaying the principal of 200 million, which brings it down to 600 million. Well, when you look at the scale of a unitary authority budget, there are other unitary authorities which have that sort of debt. The county and there is such things as good debt and bad debt. You have debt which is supported by assets or supported by grants or supported by payments. And then there's bad debt, and Thurrock's debt was bad debt, but there's other debt which is good debt. Essex County Council has in excess of £1 billion debt, but that's accounted for and is part of their, and it is what you can class as good debt in terms that's accounted for within their revenue budget. It's also confirmed the elections to the new unitary council will take in May 2027. That will create a shadow authority, so tendering and the county council will continue to the 31st of March 2028. And the new unitary authority will start in the 1st of May 2027. The unitary authority will not be responsible at that stage for delivering services, but that will spend its time basically giving it a year or just under a year to prepare itself for taking over the services, with the members being elected, inducting them, and setting up the governance structures for the councillors to then run the authority, for them to appoint a new chief executive, a monitoring officer, a finance officer, so they can set budgets, and they can have a constitution, which means that they can then make decisions when they go live post the 1st of April 2028. One of the things you may be interested in is about in particular is about the parish election cycle to be confirmed. We made the point that we felt that the parish council elections should remain coterminous with the unitary authority. Not all district councils felt that, but we did, partly because of the financial implications to the parish council if they weren't. It would be a significantly higher cost for the parish council and town councils if they weren't coterminous, because of course some of the cost of your elections was absorbed by at the same time running, as it is now, the district council for what would then be the county council, what would then be the unitary authority council elections. What that's likely to do is that maybe that they may, so the initial term for the unitary will be a 5-year term, 1 year for the shadow, so that's 27 to 28, and then a 4-year term, which would be normal. That means, and obviously kind of looking at it for yourselves, that means that actually that you're not in a coterminous position. So what could happen, and I'm not saying this will happen, but this is one of the proposals, what could happen is that there will, your parish election will continue in 2027, but then the next election for the parish council will be a 5-year term and will be not until 2032 to bring it into line, if the government agreed with that proposal. The MHC consultations response about local government reorganisation was there were 4,128 responses for Greater Essex. For the 5 unitary authority, there were 48% positive versus 42% negative. For the 3 unitary authority, only 22% were positive versus 68% negative. The health and universities did prefer the 3 unitary authority proposal. That's partly because, frankly, they would rather deal with fewer organisations than larger, whereas our community voluntary services preferred the 5 UA because they felt that it was more local based, community based, and understood the local area. And then there was the general balance between scale versus localism in communities, which was one of the critical ones. And just to say that tendering was actually supporting the 5 unitary authority because we felt that localism and community was the key issue, but recognising the real concerns around from Essex County Council around ensuring that the unitary authority was viable and that the budgets could be viable to support adult social care, children's services, SEND, and also all the myriad of services which of course the district councils and the other county council services which will all become part of the unitary. I mentioned about the structural changes order, and this is basically the thing which actually makes this all happen legally. So this establishes the new councils, abolishes the existing. It will also, the existing councils will continue to until the vesting day. So we still have the responsibility of delivering all of our statutory and our discretionary services until the 1st of April 2028. But between, as I said, that shadow time, they are preparing to take over those. It also provides that transitional periods for, there will be 100 councils for the new unitary authority. So obviously then coming up to speed with it, whether it be for adult social care or for children's services, or whether it be district council, or whether it be things like Port Health Authority. Interestingly, that little known, but Tendring District Council has Port Health responsibilities, national Port Health responsibilities for Harwich. So, which is an important role which we have for Harwich and indeed for other minor ports. The SCO, for the date it comes into force, places a statutory duty to consult, cooperate with each other throughout the transition. So you can't, the authorities should not be saying, oh, I don't want to do this, so I'm not going to play. They have a statutory responsibility to ensure that the economic, efficient and timely transfer of functions. That's also really important because of staff, because our staff, county council staff, Braintree staff, the staff which in Colchester, all of those staff, that's what pays their mortgage, that's what obviously puts food on the table, and making sure that they are well informed and know the position for them. For those, the TUPE will apply, so all of the staff, with the exception of the TUPE executives, will be TUPE transferred into the new organisations. Usually, it takes between 5 and 7 years for the unitary authorities to fully absorb and become working as a single unit. That's what's happened in Cornwall, in Northamptonshire, Cheshire. So we've all, we've been in contact, and actually I was partly involved with the Cornwall one as well. But there's been a lot of experience from others And that's, when you look at, once people transfer in, the restructuring, the reorganisations, getting single IT systems, anybody who's gone through any IT changes know that bringing together multiple organisations, multiple financial systems, multiple benefit systems and planning systems, you name it, we have different systems, obviously statutory requirements for different systems, and every one of those ultimately will have single systems that we for each of those services. So a huge amount of work to be done there. And more importantly, we have to supply more information by the 29th of May, which are our proposals around what and how that will work. The 100 councillors for the North East Essex we need to submit the interim warding arrangements. It's not going to be done based on the county council divisions. It's going to be based on warding arrangements. However, they are going to be only in place for one cycle, because the Boundary Commission will then look at each unitaries over the course of a cycle and say whether they feel that they need to be amended, looked at, and whether they are proportionate to the populations, to the wards for each of the unitary authorities. And the parish council site information, which I mentioned earlier. We also have to nominate one of the council for receiving the funding. There's about £900,000 for each unitary authority in preparing for the setup for those councils. For some of the things we've talked about, but they will be the cost of it will be significantly more than £900,000 per council. But that's just as part of the administrative costs to help with that. But I would just say local government continues. We do our responsibilities continue, and we've got a new waste contract which has started, the housing services regulatory review, and our homelessness work and temporary accommodation. It's only ever increasing. Elections and community governance review. There's a community governance review for Clacton, Jaywick, and Holland-on-Sea, where there is that 2/5 of the population tendering, for example, has no town or parish council, and that's important because they are before we had the LGR, there wasn't the issue around representation for those areas because they felt that they had the district council, and actually that was some said they felt it was needed, but others said no, they didn't need it. But now that tendering as a council is going, and it's going to be based on a wider area, the community governance review is underway in order to set up 3 town or parish council for Jaywick, Clacton, and Holland-on-Sea. We also have a number of major capital regeneration projects, and they continue. Our local plan continues, our community continues, and of course all these things will go into the new unitary authority, but they can't stop. Most people out in the public actually don't care in general how local government is structuring itself. What they do care is that their services are continuing to be resolved, that potholes such as the Councillor Goggin pothole is resolved, and couldn't resist that one. Coastal works and best use of assets, and our coastal works, if we didn't continue to do the work coastal works, you would see the loss of coastal areas as you've seen in Norfolk, and there's some significant works which are underway. We've undertaken to ensure that we try and put tendering in the best possible place, and that's as you've heard me say at previous meetings, that's about both protecting assets from decline, putting our leisure centres in good condition, or where appropriate, the transfer of assets to town and parish council if they're better operated at a more local level. I'll come back to that in a minute, because obviously that's something that you're particularly interested in, and it was one of your questions. I think it's just worth saying, you will all probably know some of our staff, whether they're local, whether you're related to them, or whether they're just sort of next door neighbours. But our top staff are protected by legislation, with their roles, terms and conditions are safeguarded, so they don't lose their length of service, their pensions or anything like that. And we are actively supporting our staff now, and will continue to do so throughout the transition. We're about to have a meeting tomorrow with our managers around the next stages of that. And staff continue and will continue to deliver our excellent services for our residents. I would say when talking about LGR, and we say this to our members as well, please be sensitive when discussing it, because although it's a political thing, but for them, of course, it is also their jobs, their livelihoods, their mortgages. So that is a very quick run through of where we are. And one of the key things is which I came and have been talking to many of you about, is about properties. And you've made a submission in December about that one, and then came back and confirmed which ones. We wanted to try and do them in harmony with, at the same time as the Parish Town Council, Frincton Walton, and any others who were interested. I've got to say that you are the farthest advanced, and we are going to, we were waiting to resource and see what was going to be, what we did next, in which order. As we haven't had confirmation from the Frincton Walton or Harwich, we are going to commence the work with yours. I spoke to Gary Guyver, who came to see you only today, and so we'll be commencing the work with your one, looking at the submissions and going through that and having further discussions about the art of the possible on the different sites. So in answer to the question which Councillor Barry raised with me about where are we up to, we have waited for the others. You are farther advanced, so we will be starting with you first, basically, and we'll be so that's that in answer to that. I think that's kind of a very quick whistle-stop tour through where we are. There are lots of questions I can't answer because we haven't got the structural changes on them, so we don't know the answers to it yet. But we do have obviously a number of county-wide groups. I, for example, chair the group on workforce and HR for the whole of the county, because I'm very passionate, and I think it's really important about making sure the new unitary authorities get the right culture and the right ethos. Because if you have any successful business or culture, any successful business or council, sorry, it's only a successful business or council if you get the right ethos. It will fly or it will crash. We have very good people, and the other thing is making sure we don't lose those very good people, and they go into the new unitary and still have the best outcomes for tendering and for our area and the wider area as it goes in over the course of the coming time. So happy to take any questions, but that's a very quick whistle top. And may I just add, and rather cheaply, my thanks and recognition of Councillor Goggin as well. I've worked with Councillor Goggin for many years, going back probably over nearly 20 years now. I just echo those. Thank you for your service to the public, and also the way you have approached your work with Tendring District Council. I do have, if anybody wants me to put up, a picture of Alan in a Andy Pandy suit.
Right, thank you very much, Ian. I missed the tributes there as well, Alan. I know, we haven't all seen eye to eye, and I have stood against you at times, but I would like to echo the sentiments that you've been a very devoted councillor and a very devoted community man for this town, and you will be missed. So I'd just like to say that. In terms of question and answer, I think I am aware of the time and that we could probably go on all night. And as you say, there are still more questions than answers. But I think having set the scene and let us know that, we are, I think as a council, again, just to say to the public that we have put in a lot of work, and I think only this week at our finance meeting, we committed, an amount of money to taking forward this whole transfer process. So we are conscious that there will be costs involved in terms of, you know, condition surveys and assessments, and legal fees. So, you know, as a council, I think we are probably as prepared as we can be for the next step. So, we will look forward to working with Gary and the other staff to take that forward and hopefully get us in a position at the end of the year where we can come back to the council and tell them where we all are. So as I say, I'm not sure the question
I
of
think
Q&A would take too long.
That's fine.
And so I thank you for your contribution, and we'll say good night unless, yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Appreciate that, and credit to you in terms of your preparedness around and the work which you've done around that. We do appreciate that. We think that actually it is to your absolute credit the work you've done. So well done, and thank you.
That's very good.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen in the audience and here, if anybody does have any questions, please submit them to Tracy and we'll pass them on. I think for the time being, we'll leave it there. So if I may, and I do apologise, Alan, for interrupting your presentation. If you could like to tell us your report.
Thank you, thank you. Not surprisingly, it's been a very busy month, and there's a couple of things that are involved in Essex Place, but a couple of very much different things. There was a potential issue with a social media comment about some work that's being carried out by UK Power up at Surrington or on the I was aware of the situation, but I hadn't looked at the details. And the thing that came out on social media was about the road, the traffic lights being in use between the hours of 8 o'clock and 5 o'clock, I think, which was criticised, and to be blunt, if that was the case, it would deserve that criticism. But once you look at the licence, which is granted by Essex County Council, you found that the traffic lights themselves were not allowed to be in use before 9:30 and had to be removed by 2:30. There are a couple of other conditions. There are normal conditions about an alternative. You have to have a stop sign person man with radios at either end, just in case the automatic system doesn't work right. You mustn't impede things like the pedestrian way. So it caused a bit of confusion. I know particularly the office here in Bucks have got several comments, but hopefully. Who's that?
These 20 quid.
That's me. Carry on talking.
Throw your wallet
I'm
over.
pleased to say that the expected problems didn't arise. I'm very pleased about that. And some of that was due to people a bit of planning extra, so that was that. And at times I tried to make sure that the existing licences, and in the work that I did, I found out there were 110 permits, 110,000 permits issued last year. So there's and it's important you know that within the conditions that someone's already thought, well, what will be the problem? Not unique to Brighton, see. Then we had another problem, which was a bit of a potential disaster, which was at Cullen Road.
Now it's 40 quid.
Nigel, I told you not to phone me. Sorry. About Cullen Road, and that was just a tale of mismanagement from one way to the other. There's a problem with electricity in Cullen Road as supply. As I understand it now, the problem was that the connection was actually right in the middle of the road as opposed to being one side or the other. So there was no way round, but nobody had taken into account the lorries going to the wharf. So I set up with the mayor's blessing a couple of meetings and discussions. The bottom line was the cable reduced 3-day period down to 1, and then have been persuaded that the best way to deal with it is to do the work over the weekend. Now, that's not a complete answer, because it does mean that the road will be blocked off at the weekend, but we won't have the 5 lorries an hour going down to the wharf. There's enough time to tell people who are running businesses that the thought of having a 30-ton lorry going down New Street, meeting another 30-ton lorry coming up from New Street was just planners and people that applied for license just have made it. And it's worthwhile mentioning that's now the 3rd time that's happened. And one of the things you might want to consider next year to take it on board, I have no idea how you can do it, but I think we should try and reclassify the B1029, because at the moment, anybody looking at a map is shown the B1029 coming down Lower Park Road, but then, no, not coming down Ladysmith Avenue into Victoria Place and then down New Street. Now, that's just, might have been okay to get a horse and cart going down. So I'm pleased to say, particularly with the support I got from the office, thank you very much, that we haven't got rid of the problem, because on the Sunday that they're doing it, there might still be a vehicle or something, but there will be a weight limit going down any diversions. Diverting cars and motorcycles is one issue, diverting delivery lorries and cement lorries and another. So hopefully I've got that there. One sadness to report, my item number 3, the 4 residents who opposed the speed limit reduction at Flag Hill have been offered the opportunity to withdraw, and none of the 4 have. And what that means then is the consultation period for anything, it's worthwhile remembering it applies for anything. The consultation to the public goes live. The public are allowed to put in their objections and or their comments. The council are obliged to reply to them and ask them if they really want to do it, and then they get a chance to respond. And sometimes they withdraw, and sometimes they just dig their heels in. But then there comes a stage where the portfolio holder just makes a decision. It just makes a decision that 4 people out of 10,000 not wanting a speed reduction at Flag Hill is inconsiderate, inconsistent, and doesn't work. And unfortunately, that unravels another legal development type of situation, because they're virtually saying, we've heard your opinion, we've listened to it, we don't agree it, you've argued with us, we don't agree your argument, so we're going to make the decision to draw a line underneath it. All that does is just put that issue back out another month or 2. But it will happen. It will happen. There's plenty to read. I'm sure we've got recent meeting on the government in us and I'm pleased that Ian was here to do that. And I think that is, I'll have a final word in a second if you don't mind. But any questions? Is that okay?
Yeah, of course. First of all, Jane.
Mine's not really a question unless are you staying for item 6? Which is the update on the district councillors.
So that is immediately after this.
It's immediately after, but also you don't want to have a road named after you, like Dad. Because it means you're no longer here.
I'll let you respond to that.
Not for the first time. Not for the first time in the parish meetings. I am wordless.
Yes, coming up. And at last, do we have any more questions from the councillors? So I can then open it up. Is there anybody here from the public who'd like to ask Alan Mill?
Well, it's just a comment for Richard Price, just to say that I thank Alan anyway, but he sort of inspired me to look into the Greater Essex Essex Authority that's coming in. So I've learned all about the directors and how it's worked. So thank you very much for that, Alan. AI is very important, so I'm better informed. You've inspired me to do that.
Thank you, thank you. I don't mind the inspiration, but I don't want the blame.
You have to be around a bit later. Are there any other questions? Alan, you wanted to make a comment?
If you don't mind, as I say, my term ends on the 10th of May. I've had a good innings. I thank you very much for the praise that you said. It's very nice. But I'm adamant that there's one thing that is overriding everything. Very little, with the best people in the world, very little can be achieved in local politics on your own. You have to find out what your public want, what your council want, what your parishes want, and you then have to work with them, either to agree with what they do or try and persuade them differently. But very little is achieved by people working on their own, and I think that you would agree that. I have a frustration for you people, current councillors. There's lots of social media comment. Around this table are some of the finest people looking after Brightlingsea that we've ever had. Some of them are big contributors, some of them are slightly smaller contributors, there are things about family, there are things about businesses, there are things about opportunities. But I find it frustrating when there are comments about the council doesn't do anything, the council are no good. I will stand up and say, forget me, that's a different kettle of fish altogether. But I'm adamant that we are being served at the moment by a group of people who all put 100% of what they can put in. And I'd like someone at some stage just to know that. So, nothing can be achieved on its own. Thanks for the compliments. And I wish anybody who's standing all the best of luck. And I hope that it goes the right way for people of Brightsea, division and Brightsea in particular.
Thank you very much. You may stay for the next bit. I just wanted to ask you one rather friendly question. Are you continuing your rugby career?
I'm this year, sorry to bore the pants out of people, I'm officially acknowledged as the oldest tight front row rugby. There's a picture around here of Graham Steady and I both playing for Brightlingsea United. I'm officially the oldest front rower in England. There's some child at 82, but he's second row. That's not.
Oh, right. No, it doesn't count.
And someone's talked about someone's done me a T-shirt that says 80 at 80. So that's 80 minutes.
Yeah.
At 80. Yeah. So I've got 18 months to do that. We're playing against Mersey on Saturday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity, by the way.
And thank you for the compliments.
Watch the bottom.
If I can therefore move on to item 6 then, thank you. Report from the district councillors. Do you have any particular order? Do you want to go first, Jane? Yeah.
Only on mine was just a verbal update. I was asked by the TDC officers, I asked the TDC officers originally to review some of the sites that had been submitted when the call for sites came in, because we obviously know the feeling on these 300 extra houses that are going out of town. They came back to me and asked whether I would meet with the developers on a couple of the sites and drag Graham along, because I wasn't prepared to go on my own. So we have met with them. All I can say, it's really positive. Tendering are working all the way with us. Unfortunately, it's no good people saying we don't want any. We're going to get some, and it's much better that we work on smaller sites and trying to develop them. So, as of this afternoon, the owner of the Whale House site has stepped forward as well.
All right, excellent.
and is going to meet a developer,
Good, right.
slightly bringing it in, and this is where I was asking Alan whether he was going to stay, because if it wasn't for Alan talking to Essex County Council about the covenant and the way we could somehow perhaps work on care, warden controlled assisted living, rather than a care home, I wouldn't have got very far.
Right.
But the Wellhouse owner has stepped forward today. We passed on the developer who's interested, and we're hoping that will come forward. If that comes forward, and the other side we're looking at, and slightly extending ones that have been submitted, we feel we could probably come up with somewhere in the region of 100, much better than 300, and then we'll be re-meeting with the Edinburgh district.
Excellent.
So I just want to say thank you to Alan, because I would never have known where to go on Essex County.
Excellent.
And thank you for Graham, because I dragged him out with me, and we went walking across the fields.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Any questions?
No, very good.
Yeah, no, very good. Oh, yes.
Yeah, just literally hot off the press kind of couple of updates on the Promenade Way and Strangers Corner applications to the North Essex Parking Partnership. I understand there were a couple of signs went up, Essex Act signs at Strangers Corner today, and that they will be obviously implementing some enforcement when there is clear evidence of breaches of that. And,
So just for everybody, the Essex Act is the parking issue.
the parking on the verges at
Sorry,
Strangers Corner.
just for the public. So.
Yeah. And Promenade Way, again, it's continuing to cause issues for lots of residents, and it says all statutory consultation requirements have been completed, and the scheme was submitted to the net authorising officer on the 30th of March. Progress is now dependent on that final authorisation being given, which is required before any signage can be ordered. No road markings are required for this location, as signage alone is sufficient for enforcement. So I think there was a query about how are they going to do the lines around the sitting tenant there, and so I think they can, as I say, they appear to be able to enforce with signage, and a site survey will also be complete this week, so the scheme is ready to proceed once authorisation is in place. NEP has advised that the end of May is the earliest realistic time frame for installation, subject to authorisation and delivery. So progress on one front and a bit of a time scale on the other. So hopefully, we're nearly into May, aren't we? So a month's time. Let's hope we can get some movement on that.
Okay. Do you want to carry on with your report as well?
No, that's it.
That's
just
it?
a couple of updates. Yeah.
Okay. Any questions, Phil? Yes.
I just want to say thank you to Nick for doing that. It's been a long and winding road to get there on both of these things, but it's got there in the end. It's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Okay. If I can then move on to Grant.
No, nothing to add really.
Nothing to add. Any questions for Grant? No? Okay, thank you very much. So if we can therefore move on to the team's reports and the FCA report. I think Kate's apologised, I think you're okay to.
Yes. Really, it's just to.
Can I just go? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, she's on.
You've got one more meeting, the town meeting. I'll do my best to be there.
Okay, look forward to it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so just the recommendations as written, just to highlight recommendations, obviously, is the Basin Lake main trail, or all-inclusive path, which we're going to go ahead with. And the cricket sheds, which is ongoing again, and I think progress has been made on the Heritage Pier and also in the water parks doing lobbies. So, really is.
Okay.
Going ahead.
Any questions? Yes.
Can I just ask, Graham, it's mentioned about the big sheds in the car park?
Yeah.
Are they not ours then? They belong to Tendron?
Tendron,
don't they?
we rent one of them and a local builder rents the other half of it.
Okay.
But obviously this will be in the asset transfer, it's on our
Yeah.
list for asset transfer. There is a problem with asbestos, I believe. So obviously, once we get the report, we'll know exactly what we can do.
Okay.
So, I presume you're going to propose the.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. I'll propose that.
Can I have a second? please?
Sorry to interrupt, are you in your tour, Ray? Looks like the doors are open. Certainly the back is up. Sorry.
No, thank you. Can I second it, please?
Yeah.
All those in favour? Thank you. Thank you. Moving on to the ENT. June?
Yeah, it's all in the notes. There was just one thing, just to update, well, not update, but, we are trying to get the moving speeding sign, fixed up if we can, and we are trying to, we're thinking about buying the one from Thorrington Parish Council as they're replacing theirs.
Yeah.
But, there are one or two questions that are being asked, like, why are they replacing it? But, I've taken it to finance and they've agreed in principle that I can go ahead and ask that question.
Right.
Go ahead with it. I think all the other things, self-explanatory.
Okay, so you're proposing, do I have a
Yeah.
second, please?
Yes.
Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Great.
That's carried. Thank you very much. Jane, anything on the welfare?
No, there's nothing more on the accessibility now.
No, we're just waiting for the logos now,
Yeah.
as per the report, and then we can raise that up.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
and just as it's written.
Okay, there's no proposition on it.
No, just, I really made comment how many people are asking for help on their council tax and benefits that will come reasonably up free. And to really warn people on the new blue badge renewals that are not becoming automatic now. They're very, very strict, and most people are ending up having to have a face-to-face interview.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Therefore, we'll move on to the comms and tourism.
Yes, Mr Mayor, still up on the communication side, Julie's been busy putting out press releases as and when it's required, overseen by the communications committee. We will be having another communications committee next week. As far as the tourism is concerned, you have in front of you a paper that details a press day proposal for Brighton Sea in May. The content of that paper is fairly self-explanatory. I would like to ask for the support of all councillors to be sort of available on the day. There could be a lunch in it for you, and to help support it to overcome the press. Thank you.
Good. Okay. Any questions? No? Thank you very much. Very good. Thank you. So, moving on to item 8 then, finance.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Meeting on the Tuesday the 14th of April. A good sound meeting. I think we've really got a lot done. 4 recommendations are in front of you. Financially, this was the last committee meeting for finance of the year, and it looks like we've been slightly over budget. So, well done to all concerned. 4 recommendations. 1 to set a figure for a meeting camera. This is for this camera up here, which we often use, which is very bad for sound, people listening in. This would be a sort of a camera in the middle here, which would detect anybody's voice and actually move to it, and obviously a much better sound system. So, because quite a few people now watch these sort of meetings at home, so this will give them a better opportunity to hear what's going on. So that's 273. Then the next one is regarding the strategic project fund, which Councillor Barry was talking about earlier, with this £30,000 being allocated to strategic project funding, so that there's money set aside for this professional advice, which we may well or could possibly need surveys and reports in the future. It's a responsible attitude taken by the council. Then I think on 106 Bunnings, you can see that we have agreed the Boating Lake fitness track, which the Comms team is putting out a press release for, which will tell everybody that this is going to be open to all abilities and all ages. And we hope that that will be well used. And the lozenge to be up-furnished and up-furnished and with water tap and a new sighting for the lake and the pond. So that's the item. And I think we are moving forward with the contract out lease for the Bright Shells lease. If there's any questions, but certainly was a very good meeting.
Any questions or comments?
All opposed?
No, can I have a second? Okay, second. Thank you very much. All those in favour?
Great.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Rick. Chief, I think your finance part B. Don't worry about it.
Oh, up there.
You're up there.
Done half of it.
Like you say. Councillor Hagley and I examined the accounts for March 2026 and under the delegated authority to the Finance Committee confirmed that 20 payments in the sum of £13,693.72 have been authorised and paid. The statements of balance on the following accounts are to be accepted. Current account number 7055 is £22,896.27. Business premium account 8295, £28,996.91. Business premium account 9433 is £450.66. CCLA Public Sector Deposit Fund is £100,003, £494.55. Instant access account 0373 is £27,712.66. Current T2 account 0360 is £15,856.73, making a total on all accounts of £199,407.78. The income for March 2026, the expenditure for March 2026. Sorry, I've missed out a whole lot that was there. Income for March 2026 was £14,740.13. Expenditure for March 2026 was £25,603.65. Income to date from 1st of April to 31st of March 2026 was £504,379.64. Expenditure to date from the 1st of April to the 31st of March 2026 was £442,180.50. Employee payments paid for the month of March 2026 were £16,924.51, and the Barclaycard payments for March 2026 were £24.90.
Okay, thank you very much. Jane proposes, I'm seconding. All those in favour? Great. Thank you very much. Moving on then to item 9, which I've got down as local government reform. Do you have anything to add to what was said earlier?
No, I think
It's all over here. Not listening. That's all right.
No.
Nothing more to add on that one. So if we can move therefore to item 10, the planning. Again, Eugene, busy night for you.
Yeah, what's been done there? Just go on the agenda. The agenda. Yeah, I've lost it under the. Item 10, to note the minutes of the planning meeting held on the 31st of March and 14th of April 2026, and to note the planning decisions of Tendring District Council. I think you've all had them before you.
Yep.
So I'll move the chair.
Okay. Any questions? No, you're second, yeah, second. All those in favour? Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Any Oh, hang on a second, one
Can we
second.
just, add that we've had notification that the yard in Lime Street
Oh, right.
planning application has been refused. So they will be given notice now to either stick to the rules, enforcement will come in, if they choose to appeal, and the enforcement, it could take up to 2 years. But we're not certain that, he doesn't think
Right.
they will, but they have been refused again, so.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Any more comments on that one? So, ladies and gentlemen, I think at this point we open it to questions from the public. If I can remind you when you ask a question, if you could state who you are and your name, please, and repeat yourself. Just the lady there.
Sue Cook, it's not really a question, it's a comment. I'd just like to thank whoever got this nonsense in Lime Street sorted out with the ark, that the boat, it's gone now and it's much better. I don't know who did it, but whoever did it, thank you.
You never know.
Oh,
Actually, I can answer that.
It's best not to know.
No, I was going to say, let's not answer that.
Essex County Council actually came out to measure the lower end of Lime Street for the residents who had the fire to put up their new fence.
All right.
And if you look on the grass, their boundaries have been marked with orange markers, and they spotted the boat. I'm not saying that they did anything, but
Right.
all of a sudden they've now, the boat's gone, but they now have a car parked right on the orange docks, and the fence is due to go in. So,
Right, anyway, thank you for the comment. Anybody, next question? Yes, yes, Ben, yes.
Rubbish. So we've got a couple more bank holidays coming up next month. What's happening about getting the rubbish emptied at bank holiday time? Because it's getting beyond a joke.
Well, thank you for the question. I think that over the last bank holiday, there was again, social media said they hadn't been emptied, but obviously a lot of people were down there on the car boots on the Monday, so yes they have. So we've got the new waste contract which came on the 1st of April. And obviously I've had various discussions with the portfolio holder, putting forward recommendations. And I believe that twice a day collections started this week.
Twice a day.
Twice a day. Because obviously the contracts start on the 1st of April, and there's always going to be a bit of a glitch. We've got all members briefing on the 28th, the 9th of April, and they will be obviously certain other questions which need to be asked. I've asked them, they need to be answered.
Graham, just before you go, twice a day, where was it? Twice a day?
On front.
On the front?
Yeah,
And how about the heart?
I'm not quite sure of that, to be honest.
I believe it used to be.
Yeah, but I've, as I say, I've been major on the Western Front.
Could you check the heart as
I'll
well?
ask the question.
Thank you. Mick, you gonna?
Yeah, I mean, I think, as Graham says, there's a new contract coming in, and, you know, the last one I think had been in place for about 14 years. And so this one will hopefully represent a more up-to-date view of, you know, habits and behaviours. But I think the reality of having a bin emptied as soon as it's full is not one that can really be achieved. And you know, the best that can be done is for a regular occurrence, regular service. But there is also some responsibility on all of us really to be mindful of, you know, if a bin is full, I don't go and put more rubbish in. And you know, people can. We should be encouraging people, as I say, in other seaside towns and resorts. If the, you know, please help everyone by taking your rubbish home. But also be aware that you know, not every bin there's nobody sitting watching a bin till it's full and running and emptying it. They're on a rota. There may be times when the emptying doesn't correspond with the fullness of the bin, but I think we have to be confident that that will be addressed, you know, in due course, and that it's not. It is a problem that is fairly universal across most of our seaside towns around bank holidays. And one of the positives is that we are getting people here to come and deposit their rubbish, and it's bringing business to the town. But it is a problem, and I'm not saying it's not one that we're looking at, but I hope that the new contract will reflect more the user experience and the influx of more people at certain times. So that's all. Then we obviously keep it under review. That's all we can do.
Jane, you had something to say then?
Yeah, I'm just gonna clarify, from the meeting that it's gonna be empty twice daily, school, holidays, weekends, bank holidays. And next year, the summer season will start from the 1st of March. It will start earlier, but because the new contract is in. And the new contractors, there will be meetings with them every 3 months, of which I sit on that committee.
Jean, you had a,
Yeah, we did move the idea at ENT because you know some of the bins are tendering, some of the bins belong to Brightlingsea Town Council, and of course we do a better job than they do. But, we were getting the idea of putting a sign on there saying if this bin is full, take your rubbish to another one, or take it home, because that would help. By people just stuffing it in or putting it down, by the side of it.
I've got
It
so
all
many
blows
responses I
around.
could give, but
But
I'm
you-
not allowed to respond to any of these comments, am I?
But you
No,
have
you're
to, you
just
have
allowed
to,
to ask
yeah, but I mean,
just
it's
so
always going to be busier
frustrating.
on bank holiday Monday, especially if it's a lovely
The
day.
issue is not being addressed. The issue is they're not being emptied. It's not just Prom, it's Lime Street, it's Hurst Green. They're overflowing for days and days every time the chap goes on holiday, because he tries to get others that are covering to do it. And all you're focusing on is the Prom and saying people should take.
Well,
the
that's
rubbish
what
bin.
that's what you put
It's
on.
not.
You
I've
put
had
that on
meetings-
Facebook about the prom, didn't you?
Yeah, because there was
That
a
was the
car
main
with-
target. What you aimed at.
okay, we've taken the question and we'll get these councillors to respond to you in writing if necessary, after you've had the meeting.
Yeah, and that's about will give you.
Okay, thank you. Richard, yes, at the back.
Carrying on in the tone of rubbish. Over the last couple of years, I've mentioned several times about bins at the entrance to YMCA disappearing. Are they going to be put back? There's no bin from Hurst Green to New Street. Someone has now put a plastic bin under the seat at the YTMA for rubbish, and there's still a lady walks there every morning picking rubbish up all the way down the High Street. So I think, about time those two bins were replaced.
Okay, we'll get you an answer on that one. Malcolm,
You go first, Malcolm.
two questions.
One question that I mentioned 4 months ago, and you replied that it's work in progress, repair of the tap at the top of the town jetty.
As far as I know, Malcolm, and this is from Terry, our manager, it's been ordered to be done by a plumber last week, and I was assuming it was being done this week, but it hasn't been done yet, so I'll chase him for you.
I hope I don't have to wait another 4 months before I mention it.
Well, I don't intend waiting that long.
Thank you very much. Second question, to back up that Bobby said, when I've been doing the water taxi, the bin by the White Hut is always overflowing, and the seagulls have sussed this out. As you're aware, they jump out and pull the wrappers out to see what people have left. And if, difficult to say if there's a bin with a lid on it, 2 bins sometimes. Because also, people coming up from their yachts, visitors, seeing that bin is nearly full, just dump their bags beside it.
I completely agree with you that, Malcolm, because, well, I can see it from my window.
Yeah.
And I was actually going to discuss with somebody about putting some sign there, because dumping it around it just leaving bags. The seagulls just attack the bag. So I don't know whether we can get a sign around it or something, and I'll find out from our EMT.
Seagulls read it.
Yeah, no, well, the people are taking some.
I would just add on that, on our things, obviously, we have got signers, and Tenbury are looking to do a similar on their.
Because I mean, people are just, as Malcolm has said, people are just dumping a big rubbish bin, you know, whether they'd use on their boat, and they're not securing them.
Dirty sailors, mate.
Yeah, dirty sailors, yeah. And I'll tell you, awful breed, awful breed. Do I have any more questions?
Yeah, I do actually. I think it's probably the most important question of the night, really.
Very modest
Well,
story.
you've got your running, cycling, walking track, but you're going to need 3 new notices. One to say beware of the ducks, beware of the swans, and beware of the Egyptian geese. But they'll have to be in English and Arabic. And also, somebody said to me, you might need to get life jackets for the people. For the model boat in case they accidentally get pushed in. Well, I hope that's humorous.
I think that's very wise, but I don't think the pond's that deep. Actually.
No.
We're actually thinking of seeing if we can get an RNLI station.
There you go.
So the gentleman at the back,
Duncan Kirkby on behalf of BLD Occupiers Association. Just it's possibly my sort of biannual plea. The association put in a Freedom of Information request in October 2024, asking Brightlingsea Town Council if they had set the rent payable by Brightlingsea Haven Limited to Brightlingsea Town Council for the period 2024 to 2029, and also until the end of the current head lease until 2034. We were told that this was being negotiated, it was in the hands possibly of Brightlingsea Town Council solicitors. Do you have any kind of update for us at all?
I think I mentioned last time, it's in the lease, you'll see that time is not of the essence, which means when we do renegotiate, the figure it will backdate to the review time, which was November 24, I believe. But at the moment, we've been advised that market conditions are such that we'd be ill-advised to try and increase or renegotiate the figure right now. It would cost us something like £12,000 to have it professionally reviewed, with a little chance of success.
Right, okay. I think the council's aware that there are various rumours. Some of them come from the park staff, perhaps, or, well, yes, they appear to emanate from park staff, that Brightlingsea Haven Limited might have a change of directorship at some point, and I wonder if it's wise to drag your heels at the moment when we have feelings that there might be new directors at some point.
Well, we've just been, I say, advised the market conditions aren't right now. It's not the right time to try and renegotiate. When we do, it's backdated, and if there's ever a lease change, whatever, then that would have no effect on that. It would be backdated in any event.
Okay.
But and the other point is to say we were advised it would cost to professionally renegotiate it would be a fee of about £12,000, and that is just not, doesn't make economic sense right now. I'm not sure any rumours about changes of
I believe some of your colleagues on the council have updates set up from Companies House, and anybody that has an interest in the parent group and the structure of the Baslow Parks company organisation will find that they are constantly reorganising the company, and it does look as if something is afoot.
But the lease will be, which is obviously a legal document, will be there no matter what they do with the jiggery pokery that you're suggesting. And I think, from our perspective, there's little else we can do. I mean, if they wish to change to share ownership, etc., nothing we can do about that. The only thing that we've been told is to actually try and renegotiate the lease cost at the moment. As David said, will cost us a lot of money. And the end result of that was, the estimate was that the amount of money it would cost, we wouldn't generate the amount of money it would cost.
Yeah.
So from our point of view, it's illogical to actually do it at this moment. Ricky, you have something to
Actually,
say?
if it's all right, I just want to ask a comment to all the people who live in the park there. We have just had not a complaint, but a comment made by the people who live in Santiago Cottages, which is on the car park in the community centre. There are some of the residents there who do suffer with breathing problems, and just to ask whether if they could keep any bonfires and be aware of wind direction going over the Santiago Cottages, because they are experiencing breathing problems. And it just said, could you just spread the word? So could you just be mindful of that? It may be the ground manager, but it may well be one of the tenants or.
It's no, absolutely not from any of, not from the.
Perhaps you could just be mindful of it, that's all
I would suggest.
It's the management.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not us.
Okay, well, I think that's fair enough conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to come.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So let's go ahead. Yes, another question.
It was just, last meeting, I asked a question, didn't get an answer, and there doesn't seem to be any other business, not any referral to previous minutes, which I would normally have at a meeting where someone looked at minutes,
Right,
say,
okay.
that's outstanding, that's what I'm trying to get. My question was about the boundaries for the Bateman's Tower Cafe.
Oh, yes, there is on the land registry a very specific boundary, so I wasn't quite, what was the question actually referring to on the boundaries?
Is there a boundary, and
There is a boundary, and I checked, and
So
she
is
is
that
definitely within it.
So is that boundary, does it include the emergency access gate?
That one I would assume so. I'll take your point. I'll check that one. Unless you.
I could just say that the pre-plan submission is in tenor at the moment, and it should be heard in the next few days. And there's a meeting planned about 10 days from now, where we'll have a chance to look at all the detailed objects, drawings, boundaries. I know all the exits have been, as part of the plan control, will be looked at. So in the next few weeks, we should have clarity.
The issue was that all of her tables and chairs are being put in front of the access gate. And so I commented, surely that can't be included in the lease, her letting area. Because if there was an emergency, how would they get through the gate if people have emergencies?
I've been through the lease actually quite recently, and it doesn't mention it. So I don't know.
It seemed a bit concerning.
I don't know if it's an emergency access or not.
I believe that's environmental.
I think the best, there's a meeting planned, and it's all encompassing project manager objects.
Okay, we'll come back to you on that one. I will get you a reply on that one. Definitely get it. Do we have any other questions?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Hello, it's Chris Barrow, and I've been missing a few council meetings, so maybe just quickly update me on the facilities and community asset management Cone Road rear access. I'm not quite sure what the issue that you're raising. Just to let you know that I do have an agreement with the council. I do have an easement, and if you want to see a copy of it, I'm happy to provide it, as you were mentioning your archivist.
Right, thank you very much. Yes, we're.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically, obviously, there are easements which have been arranged by several of the people who own properties backing onto the Western Promenade for access down there, to get onto the back of their gardens, which is you obviously done. There are a lot of people who haven't, and I think we were talking about writing to those who haven't to see whether they'd like to take that option up. But equally, second part to that, There's also not, a lot of people not driving around and parking in their driveway, but leaving their cars on the side road, which is not actually included in the tax, it's only for access. And I think it's a matter of us understanding and tidying up and regulating our land. So nothing's been decided, but at the moment we're just looking into finding out the facts and actually inquiring as to who's got it and who hasn't.
Okay, that's just.
Can I just ask interest, when did you purchase your house?
Well, the house has been in the family since 1923. I've known it since 1953.
When did you get the easement then?
1987.
Thank you very much.
Previous to that, we were paying a licence
Right.
from
really
about
helpful.
1967.
Yeah.
If you want a copy of it, I will pack it with life.
What job as alchemist?
No, it's just in our deeds.
Thank you, that is very
He was a
helpful.
banker, don't mess with this guy.
Are there any other questions? If not, I will leave it there and we'll move on to the item 12, the Chief Executive report.
Thank you. Just one item, the Brightons Carnival Association have asked if they can advertise their car boot sales with a banner on the gate of the Western Promenade car park instead of the board, which is usually on grass past the church. Sorry, did you say that? They want to put a banner on the gate of the Western Pole car park. Grass car park.
I don't see it.
They've spoken with Brand's manager.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's it? We have it?
Thank you, that's it.
Anything else? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just to say that this is my final meeting as the mayor of council, and so I'd like to just thank you all for for putting up with me and for the entertainment. I must admit it is a bit of an entertainment, and thank you to the council as well, members of the council for putting up with me. Thank you very much indeed.
Well, thank you.
Presents round, everybody.
That's the only reason he turns up. Last council meeting.
Yeah. Yeah, but you have to provide all the wine and everything.